Kath. We'll start the meeting with public input, as we usually do. Brian, is anybody signed?
Good evening. I just wondered if you received a response from the letter that was generated, I think last meeting you said, from Steve Ricca to Quasar about the change in their process?
We did. We just received it. I saw my first copy tonight. I think Matt saw his first copy when he came in. We haven't really absorbed it yet.
Okay.
What they are basically saying is they're no longer using biosolids with their material now. They're using other materials. And also it's just plain in the tank long enough that more of the little critters die off, and they test it, and that makes it Class A, that they don't consider that a change in their process.
Change in the product.
I haven't actually read the whole thing yet, so I can't speak to it any more than that at this point, but you can get a copy of it from Kathy tomorrow if you wish.
I just wanted to bring you this. This is a citation from the Ohio EPA where they basically modified their plant, some piping, process piping, without getting a permit to do so. And then they also started producing, they produced Class A and Class B at this facility, and their records were not clear on which tanks were for Class A, which class were for Class B, and they were cited by the EPA. So I'll bring you this. But it just goes to show this company really has a habit of just doing whatever they want, and then they can pay the fines. They obviously have deep pockets, and I really think that we need to hold them very, very accountable based on the, what I perceive as a public safety health issue. So I'll bring you this, and there are loads more, not for this particular issue, of citations on the Ohio EPA website, as there were before they even opened their doors here. But this is the exact same issue as here, so you can see a pattern of behavior.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to give it to Matt? And you can give us copies. Anybody else?
Hello. One question I have is there any information on those 14 questions I presented a year ago in regards to Quasar rather than asking Quasar directly? I wrote them down as suggested and gave them to the council. Has anybody read them? Has anybody?
We obviously have them. It's in Matt's hands now at this point, and
Okay.
I don't think any action is taken yet.
Well, I'll be dealing with Matt, thank you, sir, shortly, because I do have ink just came in on Saturday from eBay, and now I can get my Hewlett-Packard printer going again. The ink costs more than a printer. So I'll get you the copies of those pictures of the sludge that came in. The other thing that I was going to question was in regards to the natural gas situation happening on Liberty Drive. It's a very, very volatile compressor station and drying station that's going to be put in there, quite comprehensive and et cetera. Can the town board consider it to be a terrorist site, a terrorist threat site that they wouldn't want in Lewis or Wheatfield because we are so close to the border, and it would be nothing for terrorists to come in and raid the place in no time at all, blow themselves up, and blow the facility up. Okay, back in 1989 and 1990, we actually went through terrorist alert training at the City of Niagara Falls wastewater treatment plant because the Gulf War was starting. And the FBI put together a program that we had to go through to recognize and understand, and then they put guards at the facility and everything else because Niagara Falls is such a wonder of the world that if they were to blow something up or they were to do something and pollute the river in any way or whatever, it would be a sensationalism, and that's what terrorism is all about. And I don't know if the board is aware of it, but I have it on very, very good sources, that just below the New Mexican border, 8 miles into Mexico, in drug territory, there is an ISIS training camp. It's there. And it's on great information that I have.
I don't know how to answer your question. I doubt that we would be able to do anything like that, but I'm probably not the right person to make that decision.
Well, if the town board was to
the only thing they've
take
come...
and say, we don't want a terrorist target in our community.
Now, Larry has been the one who's been going to all of the meetings having to do with the pipeline. The concerns about the pipeline itself have changed because of where they're putting the compressor. They're not going to modify the pipeline as much, assuming that the compressor goes where they're talking about. But they haven't done anything as far as the dryer goes. We have an artist rendering, and that's it so far.
Where are they looking at putting the compressor now?
That's still in Pendleton.
As far as I know, that's still in Killian Road in Pendleton.
In Pendleton, okay,
Yeah,
well, that is
Now,
as
Pendleton
close as...
Pendleton's obviously fighting that. There's a young lady who contacted me, and she has the video of the woman who spoke to the Pendleton group, so I'm going to get to see that video. I can always, or we can, as a board, can call a meeting here in Wheatfield to take a look at that if anybody wants to see it. But I'd like to see it myself first.
Okay,
But as far as the dryer goes, we know little more than a picture of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, they're putting barns, I guess, all over the place is what they're gonna make them look like, so they look like countryside things. We're not a border community. We are a entry point community because of Grand Island. It blocks us, and but it's still Border Patrol territory, and we're considered very much a very high probable entry point, especially of the fact that there are no security cameras that look at Wheatfield all the way from Lake Erie all the way to Lake Ontario. Down on the lower river there is, but Wheatfield is a section that is not monitored by cameras of the Border Patrol.
My understanding is it is, but I don't know how much. It's more on Grand Island than it is in Wheatfield.
I was
So
in their facility.
if somebody comes on a boat from Canada over to Wheatfield, they'll be going past some cameras.
Yes, they'll be going past some cameras, but they can't actually see the Wheatfield shore. I was in their facility on Grand Island, and I looked at all the TVs and all the cameras. So maybe you can figure out that we don't want a terrorist target in our community.
Okay, thank you, John. Brian? Dave?
Bob, one thing in response,
Go ahead.
the supervisor of the town of Pendleton, and I think it was last week's Buffalo paper, I think I read it, stated that he wants to move the compressor station out of Pendleton, either to Cambria or Wheatfield. And then after his comments, I think National Fuel, I'm paraphrasing here, but I think National Fuel stated that it's too costly to put it in Wheatfield, and I think it's too costly to put it in Cambria. So it sounds like the compressor station, where they're going to be, up in the pressure in the gas pipeline to take the fracking gas from Pennsylvania. It sounds like that's still going to be in Pendleton, but it hasn't been decided. I think, and then we're going to get the dehydration statement, because when they frack natural gas, it's wet gas, and we have to remove the moisture in order to get it back to Canada, where some of this gas originally came from.
Why do we have to remove the moisture?
We don't, but National Fuel Gas apparently does to get it.
It's Pennsylvania gas, let Pennsylvania remove the water.
And on Liberty Drive, I'm not quite sure, but I'm seeing a lot of little orange flags, and it looks like the pipeline company is plotting where they want to position this. There's a lot of orange flags in that field. I don't know how big of a station it is, but It supposedly had a high enough distillation tower that, NISAC or NIMAC, from the airbase got this thing moved away of the flight patterns and landing patterns for the, Niagara Falls Airport. So,
It's a substantial, item that is, has very high capabilities of exploding, just like quasar does.
and we're pushing for a meeting with those officials in Wheatfield, but they so far have only had their meetings in Pendleton.
If Canada's gonna take it and sell it overseas, let them try.
And we keep talking to the folks from National Grid, asking to have a meeting here in Wheatfield. It could be here, it could be at the community center, it could be at Frontier Fire Hall, it could be at Shawnee Fire Hall. Give Wheatfield residents the opportunity to hear first and then speak up. And they keep saying no. Yes, Jerry?
Where does the fracking, the waste from, the drying, where does that fluid go? The moisture?
We don't have enough information to know that yet. They haven't given us much other than just an artist's rendering. That's all I have, and a discussion. We keep trying to get them to come here to explain it, and they tell us that Wendellville is good enough. Wendellville is having one last meeting this coming Saturday. It's an all-day thing. I think it's 10 o'clock till 6, right? So I'll be going over and I'll try and find out more information then. Because it's built above ground, it will be subject to planning board review. It will have to go through a planning board process. Planning board will have the opportunity of making sure that it fits our code and that they can address questions at that point, much as they did with the metering station. The metering station and Mercaptan station that just went in off of Corey Drive and Walmore Road. That went through the planning board process before that was allowed to happen. But the pipeline, we don't even have a say in it. They don't bother asking us anything.
I mean, when I do, water in my basement, when I moisture in my basement, it goes into the sump and it's water. I mean, and it's in the air.
Yeah.
After you take this moisture out of this gas, the fluid is left over. So it's probably fracking fluid. Where is it gonna go?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. I'll try to remember to ask that this coming Saturday. I know it's a glycol-based system, but I don't know if the glycol captures the water and is disposed of, or if it just goes off in the air. I just don't know. We don't have enough information.
Well, if you created it and you took the moisture and you made it into moisture, unless you let it evaporate on its own, then it's gonna go back into the air. But if it's not, there's a large volume of it, it's going somewhere, you just
Yep.
stick it and let it run out in the street.
That's a good question that we do not have the information at this point.
Okay. Texas has, gray shale. We have black shale in Marcellus.
Right.
It's 3,000 times more radon than the gray shale. So the real heavy question there for the waste is gonna be the radon. And where and how are they disposing of the radon and even the radium and uranium, and it just goes on. It just goes on.
Yeah.
I've 12 years.
Yeah, we simply don't have that information, John, at this point.
Yeah.
And the other part is, they're not gonna stack on it, is there a scrub on it, where you can scrub however they decide to take the moisture out, is it through heat? And there's a stack, is there a scrubber on the stack that's gonna keep the particles from going out into the air?
The public hearings they've had so far mainly have dealt with the Pendleton compressor station. They've gone into very little specs on the dehydration, what's all entailed. Us guys are,
We are trying.
we are.
Trust me, we're trying. This is a big organization, and they're not overly friendly with information. We do, right.
We are.
We have. We do, because it's gonna eventually come to the planning board, there will be the opportunity for the planning board to have a public hearing or public information, I should say, on it. And hopefully we would be able to force them to do that here. We can have our own public information and invite them. But if they don't show up, we're not gonna be able to do much. Pardon? Well, they're gonna have to go through the planning board process for anything that's built above the ground. Mike, am I correct on that? Now, because they're gonna be building this, whatever you call it, this massive piping above the ground.
That's why we need to do that, but they're building something, because something out of the gas. And that's what they want to do, building a
Right.
facility now.
Well, I'm saying, the planning board will review whatever this process is. In fact, like Bob said, there's nothing been, we have no plans, we don't even have site plans in Wheatfield.
All we have is a picture, basically we have a picture in a brochure of another version of it somewhere else.
It doesn't tell you what the process is. Plan for reduction in our taxes and our property values and et cetera in that whole entire area.
That's,
Within 10 miles of that plant,
Yeah.
from what I understand.
yeah, that's a good question. Those are all good questions. That's why we need them here, so that we can ask those questions. That has come up over in Pendleton, of course, that specific question. Yeah, the 10 miles, I guess, is the discussion of the young lady. I have not seen her speech yet, but I will be seeing it this week sometime. I hope to see it before I go to, it might give me some questions to ask on Saturday. Yes?
The way the doctor spoke at Pendleton, I don't think there's scrubbers on it because they show the infrared photograph 24/7, it's viewing stuff, so it didn't appear to have scrubbers.
Was that on the compressor or is that on the dryer?
That was a compressor.
That was on the compressor.
On the compressor, okay. That's why I want to get my hands on it before I go there Saturday, and I'll have some questions in hand. Okay. Anybody else on public comment? Dave?
Thank you. Dave Jackson, County. I talk about property values. One thing that just happened this morning, having to do with property values and taxation across the county, is, as I had mentioned before, the International Joint Commission that controls our lake levels, Lake Ontario, has put out a plan to change our lake levels. It's going to promote our shorelines, it's going to really just devastate our fishing industry. All of that means every taxpayer in our county is going to have to make up those losses. So property values are going to be declining because of the washing away of the fishing industry with $50 million annual revenue. Congressman Collins and Congressman Cadco, who represents like Oswego, Wayne, all the way out to Cayuga counties on Lake Shore, has now set up another meeting with the Department of State, which is where this plan is right now in Washington. We have been fighting that. Niagara Northeast County Alliance has been fighting this for the last 2 years. We called to Washington again on the 17th, excuse me, the 18th, to meet with both of the congressmen, several representatives of the Department of State, to push back on this again. This is going to be a tremendous impact if we can't kill this thing, or as I say, sink this whole plan. Because the plan that they put forth is going to call for higher water, lower waters more frequently, which is a very devastating effect on our lake shore and our fishing industry. So we're going to continue to fight, thanks to those two congressmen who have pools of resources in Washington. Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Yes, I do. First of all, are they going to cover this to Lake Erie or Erie rising, up and down?
Right.
And second of all, what about, other people like we that didn't, Congressman Megan? And what about, Senator Slaughter?
They're all on board.
They are, okay.
They're all on board, yes.
Okay, the other thing I have a question is, a bit of a side step, but Erie County, adopted a resolution or a ban on microbeads. Do you see that coming or something like that?
Microbeads, that's a committee, we'll look at that, which is that whole issue about our lake shore. Our lake shore, if you don't realize, is one of the highest economic generators in the county, of fishing and harvest and stuff like that. And this plan that the IJC has is going to be very devastating if we don't kill it. It's been out there a long time. If they release it out of Washington, Department of State, they may or may not give the government an opportunity to act upon that. We have not heard from the governor, we've been to his office several times on that, but yet he's taken no position. It's just a fight that we gotta continue to fight, and yes, all the senators, Congressman Slaughter, Eva Collins, Corwin, Rob Worth, they're all on board with this. They had a very good meeting at the Fort Niagara, 3 or 4 weeks ago, at the press conference, to really fight this plan. It's going to be economically devastating because we're all going to take a hit on our taxes if we lose that tax revenue. Bottom line, in my opinion, and others, is the hydropower. The Moses Saunders Dam needs that water to generate hydro. The higher highs and lower lows during the heating period. So, yes.
What does the Canadian government say about this?
Who?
Canadian government.
Canadian government's fine with it. Let all the damage happen on our south shore. It's just literally, they made that statement from Plan 1, as long as we don't touch us, we don't care whatever.
Isn't that part of the lake?
Sorry?
Isn't that lake part of theirs?
It is. They got 3 representatives on the IJC, and we have 3, and they're saying, as long as you don't touch us, we don't care. And that is what is in the pact from 1901 when they put this in place. The pact to control their lake, they put that dam in the 50s. It all says is any damage must be proportional across the lake. And this is now we're fighting. It is not proportional. We're going to get all the damage on the south shore.
Well, apparently the people that are on our side are not explaining to Canada that the lake does not dip from one side to the other.
It does. Actually, there's a tip of the lake to the south side. Our 6 counties on the shoreline, in their document, in the IJC document, said the south shore will suffer damage. They said that, but there's no money for any remediation of your property whatsoever.
The last time I was in school in 6th grade, it was when water level was in. And I don't think it's changed since then.
You
The
got
water level is, here is this, and here is this.
Yeah.
It's not here, and then here, it's that.
And I don't know.
There's not no difference in level. Level is level.
Right.
But you have wind.
Yeah, wind effect. We're deeper on this side of the lake. And the interior effect,
It does affect, because on the, every day, when you're every month or whatever, I mean,
the interior basin,
level is level.
the interior basin itself is deeper on this side than on the other, and they don't get those winds that we get. It's based on the currents in the shoreline. But that's the fight we'll continue to fight, and I thank our congressmen and all our officials to bring us back to the table again with the Department of State. Broadband. You've probably seen it in a release here a number of weeks ago. It's Seneca Solution and Resolute Partners. Has been chosen by the Niagara Orleans Regional Alliance as a vendor of choice to give us high-speed broadband across both counties, every single home, including Wheatfield. The governor is proposing to put out a pilot before he releases $500 million to build out. We are number 1 in place for that. 2 weeks ago, we're in Albany with the broadband office, helping them put out an RFI. Seneca's Resolute Partners have responded to that. We hope by the end of the year, the governor will make some decision on how and when he's going to release that $500 million so we can begin the project. I do want everybody to know that Seneca Solutions and Resolute Partners are shovel-ready, ready to go tomorrow, as soon as the governor releases that. So that's really good news. The governor's getting close. I hope it's done. Lastly, I've had questions about H.R. 91, which is for our veterans. Veteran Day is coming up. H.R. 91 is a federal veteran ID card, which was signed by the President last July. It's not even implemented. So for the sake of all of our veterans, the veteran ID card is going to be issued by the Veteran Administration. Has no clue what it is. There's no policies in place. There's no procedures in place. 2017 will be the earliest that you will see a veteran DDQ 214, as they call it, ID card. Now, the county, as you know, has Fake a Vet. That identifies you as a veteran. It gives you many benefits. There's hundreds and hundreds of retail stores and other businesses and services across the county. Talk to your veterans. This new federal card buys them nothing, an ID. The Thank You Vet card, however, county clerk's office clerk, if you don't have tank and wet tar, you can treat it like a tank, and clean. Get your cut.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we get those out to, the towns, so that the people don't have to go so far?
The only issue there, because the issue, photo ID right there, clerk's office, and they can look back in your DD 214, which is what you need to get the car,
Oh, okay.
because they have those on file.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on public input? If not, then we'll move on. For the record, all members are present. We do have minutes from the October 19th meeting. Does anybody wish to move those minutes in for approval?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Larry, second by Randy. Anything on the question? If not, then all in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. We do have a bill payment. The total amount on this is $183,958.05. That's for vouchers 2015-2084 and to 2205. I need a motion to be able to pay these bills.
So moved.
I think I heard Art first. Gil, do you want a second? Moved and seconded. Any bills anybody wishes to hold or question?
I had a question. We had a FOIL request, that we're paying the, I think, print some maps for someone. Did we get the money back from the person to do that?
Yeah, we get it before we give them the map.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? If not, then all in favor of paying bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Paul?
I want to remind everybody, November 15th starts our parking ban. From November 15th to April 1st, you cannot park on any town highway between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. I know there were some questions last year, but any entranceway to the town, you will see a sign that gives the parking ban. So if you don't know about it, I mean, I think every town and city, from Buffalo to the town of Wilson, has a parking ban in the winter. I get calls from people, well, we didn't have one. Well, there's one pretty much everywhere in the winter time, so you be aware of it. The other thing is we are paying for these now, we both have both machines out and running. They basically start at the center of town and work both ways. Our chipper's not out on a regular schedule right now, and starting in the center of town, same thing. We're one way, then the other. With both leaf machines and the chipper going, we also have tile job going. We started the tile job on Kruger Road. Everybody's out doing something. So if somebody's on vacation or sick, sometimes the chipper doesn't go out. Right now, the leaves are our main concern. I mean, chip more brush in this town, I think, than any other town in the county. The other thing was, a while ago I came to the board, and I came to the drainage committee about backflow on Thornwood. We had a 24-inch backflow that was hooked to 8 feet pipe that broke off.
Yep.
Talked to both engineers, and we had one valve that was about $10,000. I went back and tried to find a more cheaper one, and found one for about half that price, but neither engineer seemed to know much about it or really have a lot of information on it. You don't want to spend that kind of money without being sure. I worked with Richie Donner. We were able to get some 24-inch sewer pipe. Guys drove the sewer pipe into the drainage pipe, and were able to attach the backflow preventer that we had onto that. Everything had to be done by hand, because where's that in the guy's backyard? You cannot get any machinery in there without tearing the yard apart. So we saved $10,000. It took 2 guys the whole day to do it, but we were able to use the backflow preventer that we had.
So the pipe that you pushed in there is strong enough to hold the backflow preventer?
It's the type of pipe that preventer, or that backflow pipe is supposed to be on. The HDPE pipe, the drainage pipe, you want thinner walls. In order for them to get that on it, they had to cut the rates off, which is all the strength of the pipe. It was lasted for quite a few years, but eventually it let loose. So we drove this sewer pipe in there probably about 3 feet. And it was all sealed up, properly secured, so hopefully it works. The other day it seemed to be working when we had 3 inches of rain. If it did, we saved ourselves $10,000, which is nice to do every once in a while. It's a little bit of engineering sometimes, it works out.
Thank you, Paul. Anything for Paul?
Yeah, Paul.
Your radio's all set? All your new radios? Yes, we have started using the radios. It's been so long since we've had 2 ways, we've got to get the guys back in the swing of things.
Paul.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Blacktop, Paul, are they still making blacktop?
They'll be making blacktops for quite a while, though, by the way the weather looks. I know there's still a few places where we have to patch, but I know the people that were involved in the Kruger Road problem over there, their 1-year anniversary's coming up, and they all asked me if they could possibly have that pipe in for the anniversary.
I understand.
So I decided that get that done before the anniversary of that event happens.
Does that include Indicon?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to, Rich Donner.
Yeah, we're just doing some normal maintenance repairs. Also, we had a couple Saturdays ago, a young lady decided that, one of our hydrants wasn't in the right place on Shawnee Road, so she tried to rearrange it herself. It ended up in quite a bit of water loss, and her insurance company's gonna be paying for the new hydrant and quite a bit of damage to her vehicle. We also had another water leak over on Whipper Road. We're running into issues, and I've talked to the board before about some valves that were put in with a couple water line projects back in the mid-nineties, and they used regular carbon bolts on them, not stainless steel bolts. For some reason in this area, the ground's out, so we're going back, digging them up, putting new gaskets in, and putting stainless steel bolts in the way it should have been done. That's keeping us busy for right.
You're doing that as a maintenance project, though, not as a repair, right?
We're trying to get after the ones that we know are gonna go, but, lately, they've been springing up, so we're having to do it a little sooner than we wanted to.
We just signed off tonight on the project for the I&I issue. I don't know if you're aware of that, but you can release that order now.
Very good. They said that company was ready to go as soon as we got everything in place, so.
Okay? Tim will give you that tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else for Rich? Thank you, Rich. Mike, Recreation?
Hi, just a couple things. Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Sounds like it's on. Okay. Nerf Night Friday, 6 p.m. Next week we have our Veterans Day camp for the kids that are out from school. We've actually extended the age to pre-K 4 for the preschools that are off as well. And the last thing is I just wanted to thank Richie for spending part of his Halloween night with me over at the community center. We had a sewer backup, so we got to come and snake it out. So thanks, Rich. That's all I got.
Thanks to you, thanks to your whole crew. They did a great job for the Halloween party. We had, 218 people, I think was the last number I saw?
There was 215 kids, 400 people. It's one of the few nights my rec guys and the youth center staff can get together and kind of do something fun for the community. And it was a lot of fun. I think everybody had a good time.
Yeah, it was a nice crew.
We had a great night for it, too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anybody else, anything for Recreation? Mike Clark, Building Inspector? Anything for Mike?
How are we coming on bidding out the fans, Mike, for the community center?
We had, Rodney sitting in the other day, take a look at the, situation with that. And, Mike was with us, got him up on the roof. I should have numbers here the next day or so, as far as that replacement. And, along with that, today they finished up the, gutter replacement. And the, heat trace was supposed to be finished up this afternoon. It wasn't done when I left, but they were in the process of replacing it. I think other than that, no guard is up. Got new gutters are in place, and we should have that number to look over as far as the work for that exhaust.
Is the heat trace gonna be the thermostatically type
Yeah,
controlled? Good.
and it's switched through for me, so we can run it on, override it. And then the exhaust system too is going to be thermostatically controlled.
Thank you. Anything else for Mike? Bridget, your annual chance to shine here?
Yes, we do have our own page this evening. We also have to let you know that all our exemption renewals are out in the mail, and we'll take care of your business before March 1st. You need an amount on this?
Matt, do you need? That's one of your motions, right?
I think we have the
That's one of the motions. authorize the assessor to place unpaid water sewer charges on the bill. There's no specific amount.
I think it's in the attorney package. In the attorney package,
Matt?
yeah, it's in the, yeah, we have it in the attorney packet. I've got a
So
copy.
your grand total is $98,009.16? Okay, so we do have a schedule when we get to the motion. That's it? Okay. Anything for Bridget? Thank you. Is Arlene here? Arlene is here. Anything going on? Excellent. Anything for Arlene? Then we'll move on to Tim Zuber. What, from Wendell? That's good news. Anything for Tim? Okay. Then we'll move on to regular motions. All right, let me stop here. Dave, is there anything you wish to bring up personally? For those who don't know, Dave is our second town attorney having to do with certain issues from town engineer, sorry, from GHD. Okay, then we'll move on to regular motions, Matt.
Okay, we have several motions. First one from the Water and Sewer Department. It's a motion to authorize Water and Sewer Departments to trade its current Bobcat mini excavator together with a cost of $5,327.10 to upgrade to a new Bobcat mini excavator with a hydraulic bucket exchange unit. Purchase shall be pursuant to state contract number PC 67141, and said purchase will be split between the water and sewer budgets.
Okay. Does anybody wish to make that motion? Moved by Art. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is from Vincent Sandinato in personnel. Motion to allow Mary Beth Long to carry over 120 hours of vacation time from 2015 to 2016.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion is from Dave Britton, who we spoke to at GHD Engineers, to accept the completed PIP improvements for pavement, curbs, storm sewer and drainage, sanitary and sewer and water for Phase 4 and rear drainage of lots 17 through 24 in Phase 6 of the Timberlake subdivision. There are no presently existing, no recommended conditions, because I think the maintenance bond we already approved. I approved that.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Gill. I'll go ahead and second. And I'll ask Tom or Jerry, anything that you want to add to this before we vote?
Everything went fairly smooth, and we hired good contractors, and
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next, again, is from Dave Britton from GHD Engineers, to accept the easements and road dedications associated with Phase 4 and the selected drainage easements associated with Phase 6 of the Timberlake subdivision.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question? I take it, Matt, you have all the documents on that? You've
Yes,
seen them?
yes, we've reviewed them all and everything's acceptable, and I've been in touch with the engineers and we've agreed to to our satisfaction.
Okay, if nothing further, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion from Edward Mongold, Budget Director, to approve and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Municipal Solutions, Inc., dated September 10th, 2015, for financial advisory services related to the issuance of bond anticipation notes and serial bonds and other financial services related to the issuance of debt.
Okay, I need somebody else to make that motion because it's authorizing me, so does anybody wish to make this motion?
So moved.
Moved by Art, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think I heard Randy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is from myself, Town Attorney, to authorize the approval of NFP and Sons, Inc. of 7311 Ward Road, North Tonawanda, New York, as the lowest responsible bidder for the Town of Wheatfield Fairmount Park improvements, and pursuant to grant authorization from the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation with regard to said contractor qualified under the MWBE requirements, and to authorize the town supervisor to enter into a contract with NFP and Sons, Inc. and New York State to commence said improvements pursuant to the bid amount and the state grant terms.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Gil, second by Larry. Anything on the question? One of the things that's really nice about this is one of our larger projects in a while, and it's gonna be handled by somebody who, at least the owner of the business is right here in town, so it'll be local people getting this work. It's not a minor amount of money, I think the number was something like $427,000, so, it's nice to see it staying here. Anybody, anything else on the question? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion is from the town assessor to authorize the town assessor to place unpaid water sewer charges on the tax warrant to the Niagara County Real Property Tax Services Department. As we said before, the total of that was $98,009.16.
Moved by Art, second by Larry. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion was from Vincent Santanato, from person.
Modified that.
Oh, it's modified at this point?
We
Okay.
went to these.
All right. Couple of late, motions that were not in the original packet. Before I get to those, I guess we have one from the Firearm Permit Review Board. It's a motion to approve firearm discharge permits for the individuals as shown on the attached list that was attached to the late motion, which is, the list is from the Firearms Permit Review Board, and their recommendation to approve the, 4 individuals on the list.
I'll go ahead and move on that. Second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor of approving these permits signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved now.
Okay, next motion is from the Office of the Supervisor, that for 2016 pursuant to the Personnel Manual, the town will provide all eligible employees and eligible retired employees with the Independent Health iDirect Silver copay insurance plan. Further, said plan will allow individuals the option of iDirect Gold or iDirect Platinum options, with the individuals paying the extra cost of said plans as per the attached schedule.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. The good news is, folks, that it actually went down this year. It's hard to believe, but medical insurance from Independent Health actually went backwards this year. It's a scary thought. Anything further on the question? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion again from the Office of the Supervisor, that for 2016, pursuant to the Personnel Manual, the town will provide all eligible seniors with the option of selecting the Blue Cross Medicare Advantage PPO 799 plan or the HMO 699 plan as per the attached schedule.
I will again make that motion. Need a second?
Second on the question.
Second, go ahead, Larry.
Wasn't there, were we talking about another third plan there, or no?
We don't have any participants at this point. The third, what's here is, we have an HMO or a PPO. They're two different, slightly different plans. One has a little higher deductibles, one gives you better coverage when you're out of town for an extended period. And what I want to do, they're exactly the same dollar amount this year. So I asked for permission to be able to offer both, and Blue Cross allowed me to offer both. There is a third plan, which would be for people who are out of town. If somebody who is in our eligible group chose to move to Florida, South Carolina, whatever, it would be a better plan for them out of town. So I've not included it at this point, but if somebody comes up with that option, then we can take a look at it and probably offer it.
So you'll hold that off the table until...
Right now, there's no reason to approve it, but it's there.
What was the cost of that third plan? Was it in the same, or?
It was, I think it was $18 more per month. So
Okay.
they would probably end up having to pick that up, but,
Pay the difference like they do the other plans?
John?
Seniors in, the town of Wheatfield to...
No, this is for, these, we have a policy of covering our employees and certain public officials for their life. When they reach the age of 66 and are retired, they're not on our regular insurance, they go on to a much lesser cost Medicare. It's essentially Part D. Pardon?
This isn't for residents or anything
No.
of that nature.
This is for these are our employees and wives of employees. Okay. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, and then we have the last motion from the supervisor's office that the supervisor be authorized to request that CSXT opens a new account, a PE agreement between the town and CSXT. Further, as town engineer on the Niagara River Waterfront Multi-Use Trail Project, Wendell is authorized to act on behalf of the town.
I'll go ahead and move on this as well. Need a second to proceed.
I'll second.
Second by Larry. Tim, probably best if you explain this. Can you go to the mic and explain it? The way I understand it is, in order to proceed on the Greenway Trail, we're going to be negotiating with CSX because we're going to be crossing the railroad twice. To be able to even talk with them, we have to actually set up a business arrangement between the two. And this is just authorizing me to set up that arrangement, of which we don't have anything before us yet. I guess it was Tim Walk then that asked for it. That's my understanding. There really isn't anything before us yet, but in order for them to proceed with design, he has to be able to talk to people at CSX, and we have to have an account to do that. So it's basically opening up a no-cost account at this point, other than engineering costs. There would be charges down the road as part of when it comes to CSX reviewing our design, CSX does charge the project, which means us, for their review of our design. That won't happen for some time. That's my best understanding.
And I think that's a good summary. It is an account to communicate with them, and they require the account to be started in order to enter into negotiations.
And the funding for that would be covered under the grant?
Well, it's partially covered under the grant.
Partially covered?
The grant only covers a certain amount
Yep.
of the overall project. We have a certain amount of money from the grant.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further on the question? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. So I think we are there.
That is all the motions I have tonight.
Okay, board member items. Councilman Helwig, anything?
Just one item, I should have brought it up earlier, but I just see my notes on it. On the 5 o'clock news tonight, town of Amherst, with their highway department, it sounds like they're using fracking waste to melt snow and ice on the roadways, which sounds ludicrous, but the town of Amherst wants to ban that. So I guess, Paul, just keep your eyes and ears open to make sure that what we get for that brown stuff that you spray on the salt, I guess, whatever liquid we get, the brine or,
At least Chicago County's been using the fracking waste for quite a while.
oh yeah?
Are they nuts? I don't know, I don't live down there, but. That's some of the most hazardous wastewater in the planet. Let's do a good job out like snow. Yeah, because it's full of salt, and it's full of ethylene glycol, and it runs off the side of the road, and it gets into our waterways. You're taking fracking right from the well and putting it right, it comes out of the same pond, whether you call it residual waste, brine, or whatever.
So
Fracking waste.
I was just, telling you what I heard on television tonight, and it sounds like we're getting inundated with a lot of fracking stuff up here now, from the natural gas to the byproducts and.
Ours is so natural, we don't, ours is byproduct from beer and coffee.
Okay, let's continue that practice.
Can you guys make a recommendation to outlaw it in
Yeah.
the town?
Well, we're not using it.
Outlaw.
Yeah, the actual material we use, isn't that a derivative of
Beer
sugar
and
beets?
Beer, more or less.
Processed sugar beets?
Sometimes it comes from, pop, sometimes it comes from beer. It all, but the ones they,
I vote for beer.
I'll be falling down,
That's all I have.
Okay. Art?
Just one quick item. Our, Comprehensive Planning Board, is going to be meeting on the 12th of November, in lieu of the Thanksgiving holiday week. That was the only thing I had.
Gil?
Bob, you had said earlier in the meeting that the budget could be approved at this point.
The budget could be approved if at least 3 board members are prepared to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Anything further on the question?
I'd like to thank the department heads and Ed Mongold and the supervisor for, obviously, another tax decrease in our 6th year, and not a lot of contention, not a lot of questions, and, you guys, you did a great job putting it all together and, keeping everything going, so I appreciate it.
Okay. Anything further? Any other questions? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The budget is hereby approved for 2016. Anything else, Gil?
That's it.
Randy?
Agricultural Focus Group had a meeting last week. We're not getting any farmers. We didn't at the last meeting. We are going to meet again in December, and we're going to get something to you, Kathy, to mail again to all the farmers to invite them, and hopefully get some input from that side, or from the farmers in the town and people that work land in the town. And we will make potentially some changes to that draft plan. At that point, we will get it to the town board for approval.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Gentlemen, we have before us the need to assist Mike in the issuance of possible permits on the 4 houses at Lakeside. The town authorized a change to the PUD. The PUD was designed around setbacks that are not up to and equal to our current standards for patio homes. Mike, maybe you can explain that better?
Well, at some point before the 2014 approved plat of the other 4 lots, there was a definition for patio homes,
Right, that was after the fact, right?
and that was developed
But the definition for patio homes was before we approved the final plat.
However, when the plat was developed, all the specifications matched what all the existing homes were, lot sizes, setbacks, et cetera.
Right.
In fact, all the homes that are already built in that subdivision are 40 feet wide, the lots are 50 feet wide. So the design continued through the next 4 lots. The homes were sold with that size limitations, and at some point, we had questioned.
Okay, have you now released those permits?
I am ready to release them tomorrow.
Okay. Does anybody have a comment or wish to make any kind of a motion on that? Because we did approve the plot as it is designed, And in my view, we approved it as a continuation of the other homes. For these homes, these 4 homes only. Anybody else wish to comment?
These are gonna be patio homes, they're not gonna be like what they did on Skylark and, build it, they're all one story.
They're identical, like, they have like 3 or 4 different elevations, but they're gonna fit the same profile as the rest of the homes here. So they're single up branches, same sizes, fronts look a little different from one to the next. They are identical.
How many square feet, roughly?
I think the one I looked at this morning was
1,800.
1,800. There's 3 of them already sitting on my desk out of the 4.
I researched this matter, and I spoke with Mike, and I even prepared a little note memo I think I sent to Mike that I think in 2012, when the definition of patio home changed the setbacks, thereafter in 2014, I think it was August 2014, when the amended map was accepted by the board, it indicated on that map to go back to the previous side lots, and there was an inset in that map that indicated that the minimum distance between the homes would be 15 feet, and as a result, we cannot go back and now add them and tell them 10 and 10 and increase it to 20. So that was part of the plan that was accepted. That overrides or supersedes that definition of patio homes, which says 10 feet on each side, so it will make it in conformance with the other lots, the other homes. It will look orderly. It will not be all of a sudden a bunch of homes with setbacks that don't match the others. And it was all part of the big plan, so it was approved, and that sort of superseding the 10-foot to 15 minimum between the homes as opposed to 10 foot each, totaling 20.
One other question I had is on that trail, is that part of someone's lot, or is the trail,
It's common.
it's not part of somebody's lot, it's common space?
It'll give that extra 15 feet of that easement that's along there.
Yes.
We're 5 feet off of the property line, but the green space, that's up to 25 feet or something like that. So that between home to home, we still have that 15 foot, so you got 5 and 5 plus the green spaces between those. When you get to that last lot, it picks up the 5 foot to the property line plus then the green space area.
Okay.
It does maintain that separation.
Okay, and, then I guess what we're hearing here, nobody wishes to make a motion, but it does follow the plot that was approved by the board if you issue those permits at that rate.
What do we, this is the first I heard about this tonight, but what do we need the motion for?
Well, we don't really need a motion because we approved it last year. It really comes down to definition. And
Right, it's been approved. It was just an interpretation when you take into effect a little bit of confusion with the 2012 intervening change of definition, but as I said, it supersedes it, that map, so we're just making a clarification here. There doesn't need to be any board action because legally, I think like I said, I did a memo that I think it's fine to issue those permits.
there's another interesting problem at Cy Road near Old Falls Boulevard. It's actually out in the field between the two. There's a light, literally lighting the ditch. Stems back to when Old Falls Boulevard was changed many years ago. Paul, how many, 15 years ago? When they changed the corner used to come out at an angle, they turned it to go onto Cy Road and then come over. That light's actually lit up and we actually pay for that. I'm a little leery to tell them to go ahead and shut it down right now, because if I tell them to shut it down, there is a charge for shutting it down, and we don't know what the state's gonna do with the ditch there. If the state, when they come through next year, that's one of the areas that's gonna be modified and adding the 5th lane. I think all the work is going on the other side of the road, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, ask that question, would you? Are they moving it? Because if they're not gonna move it, if it's not in their way, then we're gonna have to shut it down even if it costs us money, because we're paying $250 or $300 a year for it. There's one that's literally right out in the field. There's a second one that's not a real good location. It's not right at the corner. We could probably shut that one down as well. The only other thing I have is the question of cul-de-sac versus turnaround versus through streets only. We have a law that says we discourage the planning board from authorizing anything other than through streets. We don't have a law that says that we will not authorize. There's a case before the planning board right now. I don't know if they're asking us for opinion. They haven't actually come to us and asked for an opinion, but that question of turnaround versus cul-de-sac or not allowing either is an interesting question we probably should address hopefully at the next meeting so we can get that done and out of the way. Turnaround, if it's a public road, doesn't make any sense because the school will not go down that road. School will not go to the turnaround and turn around a bus, meaning all the kids would have to walk out to the end of the street. If it's a private road, that's for the owner of the private road to deal with. But if it is a public road, I think that's got to be out of the question. Cul-de-sac is not necessarily out of the question, but Paul has some serious arguments as to why we shouldn't have any more cul-de-sacs. And that's all I have. That being said, our next meeting will be November 16th, starting at 7:30. I don't believe we have any preliminaries, so it will be 7:30 on the 16th. We'll go back to public input. Does anybody have anything they wish to say? John?
We're hearing about fracking, waste being used for, roads, ice and dust control. It's taking fracking waste and it's putting it into our water table. They take and they drive trucks up into Pennsylvania on top of the hills and they dump it and it's going into the water tables. And they can't figure out where it's coming from because they play musical fracking with it. Like I say, I've been studying fracking for 12 years. I tried to figure out how to make money cleaning it up, being in the wastewater industry. And then I found out you can't clean it up. All the experts, you can't clean it because there's stuff that goes right through even reverse osmosis. So I think that you might consider a fracking ban of even fracking travel of trucks or anything in Wheatfield. It should be actually Niagara County completely because the first responders are not prepared for running into fracking waste. It is that hazardous of material, and it should be banned from even being on our roads, let alone letting them spread it, ever. Okay? The other thing was the LWRP money. I looked up on the sites, and every town seems to be about a 50% to the LWRP monies was state money, town money. But Wheatfield is eliminated off of that list. We were told that there was no money being spent by the Wheatfield town taxpayer at the meeting 4 or 5 years ago when the LWRP was being discussed. Do you know how much money that was, and was that all supplied by the state?
It goes back before my time because the process was underway when I came in. Ed, do you have any kind of recollection?
I was on the LWRP committee, and I'm pretty sure Wendy Savari from Wendell managed the grant, and I believe it was 100% grant. And it took us 2 plus almost 3 years to do that process, but we didn't meet every month. There was times where we would meet, you know, once a month, every 2 weeks. I'm going to say that the grant was, Tim, do you remember? It's about 3 years old, but I'm guessing it's in the $30,000 range that we had a grant for, and it was covered 100%, I believe.
Most of them seem to be running in the neighborhood of $300,000, $400,000.
No, ours wasn't that much.
It wasn't?
Nope.
Okay. I was just wondering because...
most of the delay was because we had to get the New York State people to review it and read it and agree with it, and there was a lot of back and forth interaction for approval.
Yeah, they're very interested in, Wheatfield, according to the, Secretary of State's office in regards to all of it. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Nobody else? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.